All right, so the next thing we talk about is percent proportions. So remember we solve proportions by cross multiplying. Okay, so that's what we're going to do here. Except now we're trying to find the percent of something, or 25% is some number. Okay. So what's going to be helpful is to use this equation here, or this representation, which says is over of equals percent over 100. So that's going to be really helpful. So I would probably write that on the top of all of my papers. Is over of equals percent over 100. Okay, so let's look at that. The first question is what? So we have to find the percent here. So the first question is 7 is what percent of 10? So what is our is value? So that's a good question. When I see the word is, I look at the number in front, and that's what represents our is. So is equal to 7. The of, what comes behind the of, is the of word, of 10. And the what percent part, that's what we're trying to find. That's our x value. The percent is our x, because we don't know it. Okay, so now we can set up our proportion, which says is over of equals percent over 100. So we said our is 7, our of is 10, and we set it equal to our percent, which we don't know, over 100. Okay, so how would I solve this? We kind of just said this. You would cross multiply. So 7 times 100 is 700. 10 times x is 10x. And then we could solve from there. So I divide both sides by 10. And x equals 70. So remember, we have to answer our question. So it's 70%. Okay? So 7 is 70% of 10. Now we have to find the part. So we have what number is, and remember the is, we take what's in front of it. So that's what we're trying to find. Of is 10, and we're given our percent here. Okay, so it's is over of, so we don't have our is. We have our of, and we have our percent over 100. Okay, so again, we cross multiply. So I'm going to get 100x equals 700. And then we solve that and get x is equal to 7. Okay, so our answer is just 7. Last one. Our is comes in front. So 7 is our is. Our percent comes next. And then the of what number is your x. Okay, so then we do is over of. So 7 over x, because we don't know our of, equals percent over 100. 70 over 100. And then we cross multiply and solve. So we cross multiply, and solve. So we do 70x equals 700. And when we solve, we get 10. So our of is 10. Okay. So there's another way to do this. Okay. Another way. So looking down. So we could use the percent proportion, which that's what I would do. Or we could write the percent as a whole number. So remember, we always write our percent as a whole number. Okay, so, and you're solving for the piece you're looking for. You could use this equation. Is equals percent as a decimal times your of. Okay. So up here, our percent's a whole number. But down here, we want our percent as a decimal and multiplying it times our of. Okay, so two ways. We did a proportion. Now we can do an equation. Okay. So what number is our x. Okay, so we want x equals our percent as a decimal. 75% as a decimal is 0.75 times our of, which was 4. When we do that, we get x is equal to what? We get 3. Okay? So same thing here. 3 is our 3. What percent? We're trying to find the percent of 4. So now we have 3 equals 4x, which x is equal to 0.75. But it's a percent, so we have to make it a percent by moving 2 over. So we get 75%. 3 is, so again, 3 is our is. So 3 equals percent as a decimal. So 0.75 times your of, which we don't know. So we have 3 equals 0.75x. So we solve for that and we get x equals 4. Okay. One other way is just using keywords where we know of means to multiply, is means equals. So of means to multiply, is means equals, and what tells me that's our variable. Okay. This should all be hopefully things you know. And that should have just been review. Okay. So rewrite the following proportion as an equation and then solve for x. Okay, so how would I write this as an equation? I would do this by cross multiplying. Okay, so we're going to cross multiply these Johnskis and then solve. So we get 100x equals 2,600 and then solve. And you get 26. All right, I want you to do B and C. All right, so hopefully for B you got 28, and for C you got 20. Okay, so we just cross multiplied and then simplified from there. So let's go to the next page then, the back. Okay, so I want you to try 1, 2, 3, and 4. So you could use either way. You could use percent equations, that thing in the middle table, or you could use a proportion. I would probably do a proportion. And remember, the proportion is over of equals percent over 100. I find that a little easier to remember than is equals percent as a decimal times of, but either way works. I like this, the proportion way, because I don't have to do anything to that percent. I can just leave it as a whole number. So try 1, 2, 3, and 4. And I'm going to show my work as a proportion. So that's might be where I start. Okay, so hopefully you got, for the first one, 19.04%. The second one was just what number? So that number is 16. The third one, 25%. And the fourth one, 40%. If you didn't get those, check my work here. Again, it's is over of equals percent over 100. So just looking at this first one, the is the 8, so that's why it's in the numerator. My of is 42. And I'm trying to find the percent, which is why that's my x. And then you cross multiply, which is why we get 42x equals 800. Divide both sides by 42. And then because it's asking for a percent, we need to have a percent label. Okay. So, my self-paced friends, you are going to do the last 4 on your own. Okay? I know the word problems might be a little tricky, but I just want to see if you can do those, okay? So give them your best try. And the homework's due Tuesday the 24th. Okay, so make sure you have that done for Tuesday the 4th. Tuesday, February 4th. Sorry.